Welcome to week 2 of Bible Studies for Life. We're in the fall of 2023, continuing in the book of Daniel. This week we're in chapter 2. I think last week maybe I said we skipped chapter 2, go to 3, but it's this week in 2. Next week we go to chapter 5. So you want to read those passages in between for sure. But we're in chapter 2 this week. Before we dive into our passage, be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. Like, comment, share with others. Appreciate it if you'll do that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, and then if you want to support what we're doing in teaching and mission work, you can go right here to give.exposedtochrist.com to support the ministry that we've got going on here. Let's look at Daniel chapter 2. Again, we are skipping, right? We're picking pieces out of this story. You need to read the whole chapter. We're not even going to read the end of it, which gets into the big prophecy that takes place. So I kind of appreciate that. Sometimes we can get a little bit bogged down in trying to interpret all the elements of the prophecy, and really the point of this passage is not the end. The point of the study today is not the end, but it really is the beginning part, the first half, when we're talking about the prayer that takes place. Okay, so the decree was issued that the wise men were to be executed, and they searched for Daniel and his friends to execute them. So obviously something has happened in the first 12 verses that we get to this point. It's like dropping into the middle of a story. Well, the king he's had a dream, and so he called up his magicians and his wise men and all that, and he said, "Hey, I had a dream. I need y'all to interpret it." And they said, "Great. What was the dream?" And he says, No. You guys are supposed to be able to see things, right? Oh, yeah, we can see things. Okay, then you tell me what the dream was, and then tell me the interpretation. And they're like, "We can't do that." And he says, "No, if you're going to do this, then do it. If you really know." Now, you have to realize here, Nebuchadnezzar is a lot crazy. I mean, he's got issues, okay? And he is rash, and he is emotional, and he is a little crazy. And he has decided, you're going to have to tell me not only the interpretation, but I want you to tell me the dream first, and then the interpretation. And they said, "We can't do it." He says, "All right, then I'll just have you all killed." Well, so he issues a decree that they're going to kill all the wise men. They're all to be executed. Right? And Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're among the ones that are going to be executed. So then Daniel responded with tact and discretion to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to execute the wise men of Babylon. And he asked Arioch, the king's officer, "Why is the decree from the king so harsh?" Well, Arioch explained the situation to Daniel. So Daniel went and asked the king to give him some time so that he could give the king the interpretation. Okay, this part here, Arioch explained the situation, is probably a little bit more than just, well, he wanted them to tell him and then they couldn't tell him, and so then he had them all king. It's potential that he might have said, and he's a little crazy. Daniel is with tact and discretion. He is well beyond his years in his response, right? It's not crying. It's not yelling and screaming. It is with tact and carefully asking, "Tell me what's going on. Why has this happened?" Right? And then he goes to the king. He says he went and asked the king. So Daniel goes to the king and says, "Could you give me a little time and I'll tell you what your dream says?" All right. Then Daniel went to his house and told his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah about the matter, urging them to ask the God of heavens for mercy concerning this mystery, so Daniel and his friends would not be destroyed with the rest of Babylon's wise men. The mystery was then revealed to Daniel in a vision at night, and Daniel praised the God of the heavens. Okay, he goes to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Again, we're still using the Jewish names and not the Babylonian names. And says, we need to pray. I mean, if something doesn't happen, if God doesn't act, we're going to die, right? So let's ask God about this mystery. because otherwise we're going to be destroyed with all the rest of the Babylonian wise men. Nobody knows. Only God's going to know the answer to this, so let's just pray and ask God, right? Well, God gives him the answer, and so it says here at the end that he praised the God of heavens, and then we have this psalm, basically, that Daniel writes, or he praises out to the Lord, right? Here's what he declared: may the name of God be praised forever and ever, for wisdom and power belong to him. Wisdom and power belong to him. He changes the times and seasons. He removes kings and establishes kings. He gives wisdom to the wise, knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals the deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. I offer thanks and praise to you, God of my ancestors, because you have given me wisdom and power, and now you have let me know what we asked of you. You have let us know the king's mystery. Boy, he just says all of this is in God's hands, right? God is sovereign, so he can change time and seasons, remove kings and establish kings, which comes up in, the interpretation. If you were to read, you would see that's basically what it's about, right? He gives wisdom and knowledge to those who have understanding. I thought this was curious. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. If you're not willing, I believe this. If you're not willing to do your part, why should God do his part? If you're not willing to work to understand things and try to learn, then why should we just say, well, God, just kind of drop this knowledge on me? Well, it's just not how it works, right? He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what's in the darkness. I love this. He's, in essence, when he tells them we need to go pray and ask God about this mystery, it's because he knows that God knows this stuff. God knows the deep and hidden things, right? He knows those things in darkness. God knows that stuff that we don't know. And so he prays, and then God answers, and he gives this praise to God because of all that he has done, right? He has given me wisdom and power. You have given me wisdom and power. There is a clear acknowledgement of God's provision over and over and over again in the book of Daniel. He sees how God's hand is at work, and he sees the things that happen in his own life as being the hand of God in his life, right? Okay, so Daniel answered the king. No wise man, medium, magician, or diviner is able to make known to the king the mystery he asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he has let King Nebuchadnezzar know what will happen in the last days. Your dream and the visions that came into your mind as you lay in bed were these. And then he goes to tell him. We're not studying that part in this week's lessons, but we see this. Okay, Daniel says, nobody, these people that claim to know these things, they don't know that. You know what happened? God used the king's rashness and maybe his crazy to reveal himself to the king and to the nation of Babylon. He used it to reveal himself to us, right? Daniel says, there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. I love this again. Daniel doesn't say, none of those people know, but I do. I know. That's not what he says. He says, none of those people know because nobody can know, but there's a God who does. And he told me, he revealed it to me, right? In essence, to say, he has let you know what will happen in the last days. He has come to let you know what will happen. Boy, this is great. Daniel's consistent credit to the Lord. This is called glorifying God, right? To make him known to those who don't know him. That's glorifying God. That is at the very heart of what Daniel does as he tells the king about this vision, this dream that he had and what it means, and interprets the whole thing for him. All right, hope that's helped as you study, as you prepare, as you teach. God bless you. You're a teacher. Thank you so much for being willing to stand and teach every week, week after week, helping people understand Scripture and grow in their Christian walk. God bless you for that. Be sure and subscribe, like, comment, share. Appreciate it if you do that. Ask questions. We'll answer them all the time.